Welcome to the Simpler Business Podcast, where we talk about ways to do what you love and serve your people in a way that brings you income and freedom. I'm your host, Marissa Roberts. Join me as I chat with my favorite entrepreneurs about how they simplify their biz so that you can simplify yours. Our chat today might be a little bit noisier than usual. I am working from my bedroom today. I love working from bed, and I know that's not for everybody, but for me, the ultimate cozy time. I love getting work done while I'm snuggled up in cozy covers. I have my cat Bob next to me. He has a little bell on his collar, so he might do a cameo and you might hear a little jingle, but you also might be hearing some trucks in the background today and some renovation noise because next door is doing some cool renovations. And I've been putting off recording this podcast thinking, I have to wait until I've got a nice, quiet environment. And, I just realized that's not going to happen for a few weeks. So we're just going to jump in. If you have a little background noise, hopefully it's not going to be too much of a distraction because we have a really cool topic that we're talking about today. We're going to talk about making the most of your time as a business owner. So as a business owner or a course creator or a service provider or a coach, if you've been in business for at least a couple of years, you've probably realized that striking a balance between making great money and working hours that suit you can be a bit of a juggling act. But it is possible. Don't give up hope. It can work. I like to work mornings and take the afternoons and evenings off, and I like going to the movies on Thursdays when everyone else is at work or at school. I like sitting in gold class in the dark for a couple of hours while people bring me snacks. It is the best. So a few years ago, I took a bit of time to assess my business structure and strategy and tweak it so that I could help more people and make more money while working less hours. This has been a game changer for me. I love what I do and I am passionate about helping other people, but I don't want to serve everyone else 24/7 and put myself last on my priority list. And I don't want to role model that behavior to my kids or my friends or my loved ones who might want to start their own business too one day. I like having free time to sleep in, to take a long walk every day, to read my books, do my puzzles, watch my shows, pursue other fun projects. I also do a little extras acting here and there on commercials and TV shows and movies. I also want time to dive deep into self-care. And when I do that, when I take that time out for me, that's when I show up better for everyone in my business and my life. And I have a feeling if you free up some time to take care of yourself, you're going to show up better for everyone else too. So today we're going to take a little step in that direction and I'll show you how I streamline my work as a business owner in a way that boosts my sales and gives my clients a high quality experience without me needing to work full-time hours. Okay, so the first thing I do is I prioritize my high impact activities. I like to identify the tasks that directly contribute to my revenue and my customer happiness so that they come back again and again and again and they refer me to more people. So for me, that means focusing on activities like generating leads and sales and improving the client or the customer experience. Okay, leads and sales, we're going to talk first. I have 3 focuses: collaborations, Instagram engagement, and my podcast. They're the 3 things I'm focused on this year. So for collaborations, I love a good bundle or summit. It's an easy project. It grows my reach and my email list. I just love them. And I prefer to be a contributor rather than a host because that's just easier for me. I got my start speaking on summits by adding my profile to the speaker directory at Virtual Summit Search. So I'll leave a link in the show notes for you in case you'd like to check it out and become a summit speaker as well. And once you do a couple of summits or you contribute to a couple of bundles, you tend to find that doors open very quickly for more opportunities because you get to know the other speakers and the other contributors and see the patterns in, other things that they're contributing to as well. And then you can start pitching yourself to other summit hosts or bundle hosts. Now, with Instagram, I'm on there daily anyway, so I make sure that when I'm documenting my day in my Insta stories, I just include a resource for anyone looking to simplify their business in some way. And that kicks off a little funnel that offers them, turns them into buyers. It offers them a passive product at a great price. And if they take action and they buy it quickly, then I make a sale from there. And yes, they become a buyer and they enter my online community. Now, for my podcast, I release a weekly episode, and my lovely VA Kate promotes it for me on social media. And I also repurpose that podcast episode into my weekly email for my list, and I pop a little offer in the PS of pretty much every email that I send to my email list. If you'd like to join my list and see what it looks like and how I do that, you can sign up at marissaroberts.com. There's a gold banner at the top of the website, and you just fill in your details there. Now, I find with email, when I'm repurposing the podcast, this is where a lot of people get stuck. They like the idea of repurposing a podcast, but they just embed the podcast into their email. I do it a little different. I actually take the wording of the podcast, and that's the email. And people can still listen, but I find with email, the less clicks, the better. So I like to give all my information in the email. So for this episode, for example, you'll notice that all of the points I talk about in this episode are actually written down and are sent as an email, so people can just skim it, scan it, read it as quickly as possible, and they get all the information that way. So yeah, I find that really helpful for me. Now, you might want to do that by recording your podcast and then getting a transcript done of it, or you might want to do that by planning out your podcast and writing a series of notes or bullet points and then using that for your email. Either way works. You can still embed your podcast in your email if you want to. I'm not saying you have to do it the way I do it. I'm just saying I get great results doing it this way. So I thought I'd share that with you. Okay, let's talk about improving customer experience. This is part of prioritizing high impact activities because happy customers buy again, and happy customers refer you to more people and give you good reviews, good testimonials, and you grow from there in terms of sales and results. So I check in with my regular clients either weekly via email or monthly with a Zoom call or a fancy lunch date. I love a good client lunch at a beautiful restaurant because for me, it feels like work and self-care together. And, when you go out to lunch with a client, you dress up a little, you take the nice handbag, you put your lovely coat on. And we have a lot of restaurants on the waterfront here where I live. So it's a nice, relaxing experience. But yes, the check-in with the client is the focus here. So I check weekly via email or monthly with a Zoom call or a lunch date. And that's just basically to get a feel for, are things going well? Are they still happy with what I'm providing? Should we make a few little tweaks here and there? Or is there anything else they'd like me to focus on specifically? Those regular check-ins are gold. If you're working with clients, especially long-term clients, they're going to want to check in with you at different levels. You'll have some clients that are like, hey, just do everything for me. I don't need to approve anything. Go for it. And you'll have other clients who they want that little bit of nurturing. They want that little bit of guidance, a couple of ideas. And some clients will want to pretty much micromanage everything. I don't tend to work with those clients because I like running my client work with the same amount of freedom that I run my own business and marketing strategy. But you do you, whatever appeals to you most. If you like to work one-on-one close with your clients, that is totally fine too. Okay, so client work aside, I also choose one of my passive products each quarter and I focus on that. I look at it, I update it, I see if there's a way I can add more value to it, and then I check that the automated funnel for it is still working well. So for me, my passive products are mostly online courses, right? So we're doing an update for effortless sales at the moment. It's a really good course. It has a lot of good information, but I originally created as a text-based course and we're adding videos to it and a couple of new modules just to really up the value. And whenever I update the value of a course, I do update the pricing as well. That's something that I find is a really good time to increase the price is when I'm adding more value to the program. And the funnel is really important there too. I actually go in as a customer and I test it out and I make sure that it's still working really well, especially if it's a product that I haven't been marketing recently and have kind of forgotten about. I want to make sure people actually can buy it successfully and that there are no broken links or out-of-date emails or anything that points them in the wrong direction. So that's what I choose a product each quarter and I focus on that. And then I also look at one of my service delivery processes or an internal process, and I take a look at something and see if there's a way that I can streamline it or automate it more. I find that new software or new trends or new process ideas tend to pop up online every few months, and I get a lot of ideas from the AppSumo website. So I'll link you to them in the show notes as well. But yes, that's the 3 ways that I improve my customer experience so that I, I get more sales. All right, the next thing we're going to focus on is flow state time blocking for feel good efficiency. So, time blocking, that, if you haven't heard of it before, that just involves dedicating specific blocks of time to particular tasks. Now, if you're in the corporate world, time blocking is very handy because you might have times that you have meetings, times that you do project work, times that you check your email, that sort of thing. Now, for me, because I only work a couple of hours each day, time blocking is very simple and easy. So, I work in the mornings, and I have 3 time blocks for each morning. The first one is communications. It's just 10 minutes. I go in and I check my email and I reply to emails that are urgent and important, and I snooze or archive or just leave the rest. That's it, 10 minutes. When you give yourself a really short time frame, you are naturally more productive because you've got to get it done in that time. And it means that you're less picky about the wording that you're using with replies, and then you're more straightforward, and people take you more seriously the less fluffy you are in email. Next, for my second time block for the morning, I do a 90-minute flow state work session. And this is usually focused on a project that I'm doing for my business or on a batch of work that I'm doing for a specific client. And I just plug into my calendar what I'm working on which day for that 90-minute session. Now, I find that really helpful too, because if a client comes to me and says, "Oh, can you also do this activity for me?" Well, I've got my flow state times built into my calendar, and I assign a batch of work to each of those flow state sessions. So when a client asks me to do something that's outside of what I ordinarily do, or if I get a new project that I want to take part in, I actually look at those flow state sessions in my calendar, find an open one that I haven't assigned a task to yet, and then if I have an open one, that's when I say yes to that activity. So yeah, I do a flow state session, and then after that, my third time block is I wrap it up with communications again. So this is when I check WhatsApp. I do a lot of customer service for my business and my clients through WhatsApp. So I check all the groups in there for any questions that I need to reply to or any other tasks that I then need to schedule into flow state times in the future. And then I wrap up with a final email check. I just have a little quick look before calling it a day work-wise, because you never know when, a random email is going to come through. So anything urgent and important gets dealt with on the spot. Anything else gets snoozed or scheduled for the future. A little bit more on flow state working. This is something that I've been learning from Ruby Lee this year. She has a fantastic productivity track with mellow music and subliminal messaging that really helps me make the most of my 90-minute work sessions. I find this really helpful for staying focused, for breezing through project work, and for keeping my productivity up without increasing my stress levels. So I'm going to leave a link to her track in the show notes so that you can check it out if you want to as well. Now, not every day for me is just morning work. Most days, yes, but I do have the odd webinar or live call that I help my private clients run, and they can be scheduled at times other than mornings. Sometimes they're later in the day, sometimes they're in the evening, but we do them in a way that feels quite fun and social. So for me, they don't really feel like work. But if you have little pop-up times like this for work outside of your usual hours, make sure you don't add these tasks to your working week as extra work time. What you want to do instead is use it as substitution time and take the time off on another day when you'd normally be working. So if I've got the work week ahead of me and I need to do a live call on a Wednesday night, then I'll take that hour or two off my Thursday or off my Friday. Hopefully that makes sense. It's a good idea for you to sit down and actually decide how much you want to work each week and what hours and what your high impact activities are in order to make the most of your time. Okay, so you want to look at your marketing and sales strategy. You want to define and optimize your internal processes. Create templates to make your work faster and more flowy, and bring in someone to help you or to up your accountability on the tasks that you tend to procrastinate on. For me, that was promoting my podcast episodes. I was terrible at consistently doing episodes before. And then when Kate came on board, I realized, well, if she's going to promote my episodes for me, I need to have an episode ready every week. I'm not perfect. In fact, today I'm a little bit late. Sorry, Kate, if you're listening, but I am a lot more accountable and a lot more consistent than I used to be. So if you start there, if you look at how much you want to work and when, and what your high impact activities are and how you can make them easier, once you focus there, all of the other busy work tends to fade away and you start to see much better results from the actions you're taking within a few weeks. So give it a go. The next thing that I do is I focus on automating and delegating. And this is how I personally leverage technology and outsource the routine tasks in my business. We've talked about a couple already, but the quick bullet points are: I outsource my podcast episode promotion to Kate each week. She's amazing. I outsource my bookkeeping to a remote firm so I don't have to go in for meetings or anything like that. And we just work via email. And I have a fantastic podcast production assistant now to help me handle producing podcasts for my private clients, because I find with my clients, they love the idea of having a podcast, but they just want to talk, get the episode done, send it off to my team to actually edit, produce it, publish it, and promote it. So we take care of that behind the scenes. And there's only so much I can do personally. So for me to train up other people to do the exact same work at the same level of quality frees me up a lot. And yeah, I can share the work, share the love, share the income with them as well. I also do less invoicing now, and I do more automated client billing and payments through Stripe monthly subscriptions. And that saves me so much time and so much effort. I don't have to send as many invoices now and chase them up. I only have a couple of clients that like invoices. The rest are happy to pay with their card on subscription every month. And that means that I can focus on my work rather than chasing up or checking on payments. My sales come in through automated email funnels. I love passive products, and I use ConvertKit for this sales and delivery. I use ConvertKit, ThriveCart, and Lead Pages, and I'm going to pop all of their links in the show notes for you as well. Now, with my podcast, guest bookings are automated through a system called Book Like a Boss. And I also use Google Forms, which is part of Google Workspace, to have my guests fill in all of the details and give me everything I need for their episode when they first apply to be on the podcast. So I don't have to go back and forth via email and chase up things and ask for things. I have everything I need in the one transaction with the podcast guest, and I'm ready to go. So when I do podcast episodes with guests, we pretty much can just sit down and chat, and it's nice and easy and relaxed and fun. And all of the admin has already been taken care of. If you would like to know more about how I streamline my podcast production, let me know. I have a program called The Simple Podcast that I think you're going to find really helpful, and I can get you a little discount code for it. And my contact page on my website, this takes care of all of the common inquiries that I get. So over the last few years, my emails, my inbox has decreased a lot, because when people go to my contact page to get my email address so that they can email me and ask me a question, they actually find the answer is there on the contact page. So they don't need to email me, and I don't have as many emails in my inbox. Everybody wins. Okay, tip number 4 is to set boundaries and actually stick to them. And I have a couple of really important ones here. They're very, very simple. They're very, very effective. I find that work is so much smoother and more enjoyable when I set boundaries that positively influence my behavior. I don't stress too much about setting boundaries for other people to follow, because I can't control whether they actually follow that boundary or not. And I'm not really a confrontation person. I would rather just set things up so that for me, on my end, things are very smooth. I know what I'm doing, I follow my steps, and I'm good to go. So I make sure I define my working hours and I stick to them. I put my office hours in my email signature. I put them on my website. I turn my out of office on at the end of my work day. And I take a proper lunch break if I am working more than just the morning. So if I have a day that is a full work day, it doesn't happen often, but it does happen sometimes. I make sure I actually take a proper break, an hour at least, for a good lunch. And I'm not thinking about work or working while I'm eating. And it makes a really big difference to my balance and how I'm feeling by the end of the day. I like to stick to my pricing too. I don't discount on things that I have to manually action, like providing a service or coaching or consulting. Now, I have no problem discounting passive products as a sales tactic because that's no extra work for me and it entices people to buy quickly. But for my services or my time, I charge well for that. I offer tiered packages so that if someone's on a budget, they can still work with me. But if they want my full service, I can only deliver that for a handful of clients. So my pricing needs to reflect that. And it's worth it for my clients because I deliver high quality and I have the time and the space to focus on them when I charge better and have less clients as a result. Okay, so those are the ways that I make the most of my work time, and I enjoy flexibility and balance as a business owner without having to sacrifice my income. In fact, the more I stick to these guidelines, the more successful I am. And you can have that too. You've just got to remember that the goal is not just to work less, but it's to work smarter so that the effort you do put in leads to more sales, leads to happy customers, and leads to a better work-life balance for you. I hope you've found this episode helpful. If you'd like to chat more on streamlining your work as a business owner, come and find me on Instagram. I'll leave a little link in the show notes so it's nice and easy, and I will see you in the next episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Simpler Business Podcast. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to make it nice and easy for you, just the way we like it. If you're ready to simplify and scale your business, you can get started with my free audio class at marissaroberts.com. See you next time.